Oh, it's going to be a long night, guys, and we've only just started. So welcome to the first ever episode of Templar After Dark. As you may have noticed, based on when we initially said we'd be going live, we've come in somewhat late. As always, there's been technical difficulties. This is, believe it or not, the best camera that works in this room with the lights.
We've gone through a few, haven't we?
Yeah, it's it's unfortunate because the latest round of RCQs we casted, we've got this like the laptop setup is kind of like now good to go, throw in the bag, cast easily, do a podcast easily, but didn't anticipate for lighting not working with cameras, so that kind of put a spanner in the works. But regardless, we've soldiered through. We will be here for the next hour or so, chatting away about all things Magic the Gathering. We've got a few agenda points today, which I'm going to look at my phone to get some notes because I have the memory of a goldfish. We're going to be talking over the testing results from today. We've been testing all of this evening. We left F&M. Honestly, we didn't think F&M was happening because Ravnica releases this week, but turns out that's not a real release, so Wizards don't do a big
pre-release
thing for whatever reason. On the same subject, we're going to be talking about testing with teams that's been talked about on Twitter, and some of the community's thoughts on how it's been penned by certain people. We're going to be talking about modern post-ban, how it's kind of settled down, how we're feeling with the meta. And finally, we're going to end on a downward note because we're going to talk about Standard, the upcoming RCQ season.
I'm excited. I've been talking about it all night, and my enthusiasm and excitement for Standard.
Yeah, I mean, so we'll go into it, at the end of the show. But I will say that I believe our local game store, Athena Games, had 14 players for Standard this week.
Yeah, it was really good. There was people travelled down,
Yeah, so it seems like the RCQ, supporting Standard is going to have an uptick in Standard, in theory.
Yeah, which is positive. I'm down for that. Yeah.
And it makes sense as well, because it didn't, the RCQs didn't have a positive effect on Pioneer attendance, I don't think. So
no,
it's good to see that it's not necessarily the fact that there is an RCQ season, but it is also format dependent as well. Not to shit on Pioneer at all, but...
No. And some people on the team still test for Pioneer.
Yeah. I mean, in theory, it should be the next season, right? Like, it should be Standard and then Pioneer. But we do have some Pioneer out there theories about that one.
Yes, and we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, indeed. But anyway, going on to testing, obviously two members of the team are going to be going to Ghent in a couple of weeks. So we've been doing some modern testing over the last few weekends, running loads of decks, talking, theory grafting about sideboard slots, that jazz.
I would say you guys are joining us off the back of the very first proper testing session with friends of Team Templar as well. Yeah. So we were very...
And full disclosure, none of the friends that attended were charged any amount of money to come and
no, not on the books anyway. I did get some, what was it, tarts? I got some fruit tarts.
Yeah, tarts were provided.
You could call that bribery.
Yeah, we were provided with many tarts. Shout out to Rory, that was a very kind gesture.
It was, I appreciate that.
So we've ran a load of decks together. I'm not going to talk on Rocco's choice because I don't know if he's made
locked in.
Public or locked in. I'm pretty much locked in on Rhinos. I'm like 99% going to be playing Rhinos. I'm not worried to say that because at the end of the day, we all know there's going to be a lot of Rhinos there.
And it's open deck list.
I think it's small margins, but there's a lot of like flex slots in the deck. Like Lorien Revealed, Flame of Anor, Tishana's and Subtlety seem to be the big ones that people are like Freeze, Force, Dead Gone as well, I guess is going up and down. Some people are,
Yeah, I think for also open deck lists, you are leaning more towards a split because then if your opponent's like, I've got the Besage here, if he plays the Blood Moon and you whack a Magus on the table, that's a bit of a, oh no.
Yeah. I mean, that was always the thing for me with Merfolk. If I had gone down the Merfolk route, I think you have to play, in open deck list, you have to play 2 Subtlety, 2 Force Main, because you need them to think you might have it. Which is why I'll go back again and keep reiterating. I think these Merfolk decks that are doing very well at the moment are win more lists that have very little interaction. Most of them are like the traditional just slap you down as quick as possible lists, and when you're playing an open deck list, I think that is probably not, it's like taking ban. You know, you might get there sometimes, you might not get there other times because people can play around it a lot better. But yeah, it's been interesting. I know a lot, it definitely does seem that the online meta, I mean, like, at the end of the day, we're not pretending to be, you know, at the forefront of new, you know, meta decks and stuff.
I mean, we're not paying or being paid to test.
$300 to test.
So we couldn't possibly come in with any hot takes.
Yeah,
or new
we're just clowns.
Or new decks. Yeah.
But it does seem the online meta of kind of like Rhinos, Amulet, Scam are very, very strong decks. And then there's, you know, Yawgmoth is up there as well, but a lot of people can't play it. I do think anyone going to Ghent who is a seasoned Yawgmoth player is probably going to have a fairly good time. Because the deck, with now Fury's gone, the deck is like kind of going off.
Yeah, it's significantly better, right? It can get out the gate and stay on board in a way that it wasn't previously able to do. So I don't know. I was down this end of the table and you were down that end of the table playing against Yawgmoth. How did it feel?
It was fine. I mean, the fact that obviously Soul Cauldron is a new inclusion in the deck.
Gives it a bit of resilience.
Tashana's is a new inclusion in Rhinos, so Tashana's is pretty cool for you know, getting rid of those.
Stifling that trigger must feel good.
Yeah, definitely. Crouching Pig UK, is Rhino still dumping on Yorg? I don't think it's dumping on it. It's a fine matchup. It's not something you're gonna be too worried about, but it's definitely not when you have a Fury that can just machine gun the board down, and you know, Fury was a problem card. I still maintain that it was a bad card for Modern.
Though Scam has stuck around, we've been testing quite a bit of Scam.
Yep.
Not as a deck choice, but as a maybe we'll play against it, and it still can. Yeah, steal some wins.
I think my problem is, as much as I think Scam's still... I think the ban has worked perfectly because the deck still exists, but having played pre-ban Scam and played against post-ban Scam, it kind of feels like playing Scam with like a leg cut off. Do you know what I mean? You're kind of like, it's fine, but it's not the, you know, the haymaker that it once was.
I think previously you could be behind in a matchup with Scam and be like, oh, the minute I rip this Fury, I'm back in the game.
Yeah. Their
board's gone. I've got a 4/4 double striker, and now you're like, oh, I'm behind.
Yeah. It definitely does feel like that. Like I remember back when I was playing Merfolk all the time, and you know, you had a board assembled of, you know, 2/2/2 lords and like a 2/1 adept or something, and it's just kind of like 2 there, reanimate, 2 there, and you're like, oh, I have nothing in my hand now.
Yeah.
You know, you got there. Well done. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's good that it's stuck around. I don't know why people are so mad about it. I think that's just always going to be around.
I'm glad it's still an archetype. Although I looking at the numbers, it's still 17% of the meta game, and I think maybe that's higher than it should be, considering what it feels like to play. It doesn't feel as relevant or as powerful as it did, but we'll see how it shakes out at the RC and whether it actually places well. Or converts is really what I'm looking at. How well does it convert from day 1 to day 2?
I think one huge pro point for the deck is it can play Blood Moon Effects main without any downside.
Yeah, but Rhinos can do that as well. And
but I think there is downside to main deck in Rhinos. I think if you rip a Blood Moon in Rhinos, you know, game 1 and you're against like Burn, you're just like, oh. Whereas with Scam,
You can pitch it to Fable.
Well, you can't pitch. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
Fable.
yeah.
I thought you were going to say Fury there. But like
Sorry,
Pyro-
not pitch. You can discard.
and Pyro as well.
Yeah,
And also, I believe with Scam, most lists are playing it as Magus. So like, even if you do end up playing it, at least it's a fucking body, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
there's that element as well. So I don't know. Scam seems fine. All the decks seem pretty good. It does seem that Modern's a bit combo heavy, but you know we'll go into that in due course for sure, and talk about Modern in a little bit more detail about the post bans.
And certainly in testing, combos seem to be the biggest
draw.
Yeah.
Like everyone's kind of looking at combo.
Yeah, is how can I steal some wins with some busted game plan, and the fair decks like your Murktides, even Scam I'd consider as a fair deck now because it's not doing
I think that's
as
a stretch.
disgusting things. Well, I mean, but it does as a nickel and dime, right? It's
Yeah,
one
sure.
for one in most scenarios.
Yeah, for sure. It's not as bad as it used to be.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's not Breach or
sure.
Amulet Titan. Or
I mean, Amulet Titan.
Yorgmoth.
I think you actually summed it up really well when you were playing against Amulet Titan earlier today, where you're just kind of like, you cheated, right? Because it feels like obviously you were joking, but it is just like you just put how many lands into play on turn 3 and hit me for how much damage, and then Valakut hit me
when
for how much.
I've counted everything. I'm looking across. I'm like, oh, they've got one land in hand. Yeah, they've got 3 amulets in play, but they've got 1 card in hand. I've got everything. How could this possibly go wrong? I've got 2 Darcys, a Ragavan. But I've run out of counter spells, but I'm fine, right? And then they go, Titan, Teleria West, Simic Growth Chamber, Transmute, Summoner's Pact, Titan.
Play another Titan.
Do it again. Oh, look, they've all got haste, attacks. Oh, they've all got double strike. What's that fucking thing? Dryad, Valakut. Fuck off.
Yeah, well, I think the one that made me laugh was literally, I think Ed had like 2 cards in hand, played 3 amulets in play, played the land, played a Titan, transmuted, played another Titan, transmuted, played another Titan, and attacked for 24 on like turn 4 or something. When you'd already countered like amulets and dryad, you'd been dealing with the threats, but then eventually
it's a surprisingly resilient deck to.
The One Rings helped it a lot.
I don't think just that. I think generally the list where it is now and where it was 6 to 8 months ago, it knows what it wants to do. Like, we've got someone on the team who's actually he's a one-trick pony, but now he's playing Timeless Lotus Titan, and like that's the kind of shit that Titan was doing like 12 to 18 months ago, where it's like, do you remember when it was Hive Mind and pact my pact? Oh, now you have to pay the pact. It's like Titan knew that it could do busted shit, and then now it's kind of got a real clear game plan. If this is happening, I do this, I go and get that, etc, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I think the deck's very good. I don't think it's bannable. Like, what it does is unfair, but I think a lot of modern decks.
I'm not saying it's bannable. It's very, but I like where it is as a deck. It knows it's 75 to 85 cards.
Interestingly, on that front with Amulet specifically, there's been a lot of lists that play 61, 62 cards. I look at that, and again, I'm an ignoramus, so I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to Magic, but is it really that important to play the extra card? Do you know what I mean? Like, when you're looking at it, it's like, could you not have made a cut there? And maybe someone has done a lot of statistics as to the land versus spell count of drawing percentages and how likely you are to get A, B, or C, but it does feel a little bit like, just play 60 cards. Like, what is the 61 doing?
There is that real niche moment where you get your fetch, right, and you're on like turn 6, and you've got your fetchables in your hand, and you're like, shit. I can't counter the spell I wanted to counter because I've got all my islands out now.
Sure.
And someone's done that somewhere, right? And they've gone, well, to stop that from happening, I'll just whack an extra on it.
Yeah.
Here's my 61st card. I know that now that I have that extra card, and it's probably not optimal, but it takes away the feel bad moment.
I get that. I do get that. But it's an interesting one for sure. But you know, on the subject of testing and testing teams, you know, we always like to cover a little bit of drama that's occurred on the old Elon's X, as they call it these days. The kids call it
formerly Twitter.
The social media platform formerly known as Twitter. So recently, Magic online personality Sam Rolfe put out a tweet that are they still called tweets? Put out an X.
An X-rated post.
Yeah, that they were recruiting for. So the thing is, I think most people know about this. So just to briefly, you know, without any sarcasm, what has happened is they're a very, very successful and very good Magic player. I actually, you know, full credit, Sam Rolfe is a ridiculously good Magic player. And tests and plays with a lot of other very good Magic players.
But got accolades, right? Arena champion.
100%. Unbelievable Magic player. However, the way, you know, they put out a tweet saying that they were putting a testing team together, but it was $300 to enter. And it was limited to 10 spaces, you know. So I think the main issue with this is it was just framed very badly. Because full disclosure, I think when you actually think about how much time is probably going to go on in that testing team, realistically, how much is coaching worth for someone that is, you know, really at pretty high up you know, close to the pinnacle of their field? How much is their time worth? So you look at it as if you get 10 hours with them, $30 an hour, you know, what's that, 20 pounds an hour, like that, you know, like if you wanted to learn an instrument, you would be paying more than £20 an hour in this day and age.
Yeah.
So I think from that point of view, if it had been promoted as a service of kind of like, you know, tutoring, I think no one would have batted
6 weeks program preparing you for whatever event that you may or may not have qualified for.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think the main issue was that it was kind of like, I'm putting a team together, but $300.
I get it for free. You pay me.
Yeah. Because as well, it was kind of like, you know, and where you're located time zone wise matters because we want to get a certain amount of games in, which means obviously.
Can we just add that there is an interview process?
Oh, there is.
That's the bit that got me. It was like, you could, if I deem it as appropriate, pay me.
Yeah, but then equally, he did reiterate that it was primarily to work out where you were based to make sure you could be on the testing schedule. But again, I think that's an inherent problem in that it's effectively being like, you have value to me because I'm going to be using you for my testing, but you need to pay. And I, you know, maybe it's my cynicism, but I know they outlined this as there not being a skill requirement to getting into this testing team. Quite frankly, if it's a testing team and not a paid service, there is a requirement. Like there really is a requirement. You know, we test and we play with people and we'll theory craft Magic with many players, but you're not going to do that with people that don't get what you're trying to do, right? Like. So there's a barrier to entry.
There's an entry level, right?
Like straight up, right? Like, so me and my wife play Magic casually, like once or twice a month, play Commander, a bit of stuff like that. If my wife kind of came to me and said, you know, oh, when you guys are spending 4 hours discussing sideboard options for Ghent, can I input there? It's like, when did you last play Modern?
Can we just rewind where you said you play Commander?
Oh yeah, I know.
No,
I do still sometimes play Commander.
Yeah. Just not with your friends.
Just not with my friends. I know. But yeah, it's one of those things. I think it's like, you know, to really rubber stamp where my opinion lies with it. I think it's completely fine to charge for a service. Like, I genuinely think it's completely fine to charge for a service.
And let's be honest, if people are willing to pay for a service or pay to enter into a realm that they have little or no experience with, to gain experience in that area, that's absolutely fine. And I would encourage people who want to improve at the game to do that. But yeah, I do take issue with the way it was framed, just because it's misleading. I think it was a little misleading to kind of give so little context to what was happening there, and I don't think we were the only ones who were like, what?
I think there's so many parallels as well. Like so many situations you can use examples. Like, if you joined an amateur league Sunday football team, right? You might expect to pay a small entry fee, but you wouldn't expect to like pay for your socks, or like, you know what I mean? If there's a uniform, like pay for the jersey or that kind of thing. I just think it's and you know, from the point of view of our team, Team Templar, like I can't imagine even entertaining that. You know what I mean? That whole notion of like, and I'm on camera. This is live. I can't edit this out. I will categorically say there will never be a monetary barrier to being invited onto this team, right? Like, because but there's not. It's not kind of, you know, the whole idea is to get better. It's not to like rinse people that you respect as peers, right? That's the way I see it. I
think it should be a welcoming environment. And I do think putting a monetary value on it does somewhat remove the that aspect of it.
But shoe on the other foot, I think, given how good this team is, you know, the players that are involved on it, if it doesn't sell out, I would be very surprised, because 10 slots to get to test with very good players, like I you know, like if the Magic players that I had a lot of respect for in the community and that I really look up to in the community, throw out their names, like, you know, Raoul, like Art, Sean Goddard, like some of these really good UK based players that we see at events. If they said, you know, coaching $300 for a month, I'd probably just be like, yeah, sure. Here's my money. Like, you are significantly better at the game than me. I'd love to learn from you. But if they framed it as like, you can join my buddy squad if you pay me $300, I'd just be like, oh, maybe I don't like that guy anymore. So yeah, it's just framing, and I feel bad because I know we're kind of dunking on it, and everyone's kind of dunked on it, but
I think it's definitely memeable, right? There's even if we're somewhat behind the element of it, the aspect of it. It's still funny to just be
like, to be fair, right, and this is a very controversial statement. It was like when our good friend over the pond, who's thankfully kind of disappeared into irrelevancy at the moment, but may rear their ugly head, Donald Trump, made the famous line of a small loan of $1 million, right? How many people turn a loan of $1 million into like a real estate empire? Not many, but to put it in that phrasing of like, oh, it was a small loan, is like, oh, okay, chief, like, what are you talking about? Like, it's just otherworldly, like bad framing, and it's unfortunate. But all the best, and hopefully it works out. Lewandowski admires the content in the cabinet behind us. Yeah, it's as I said before before we got into it all, it's kind of the camera is really bad, and we're sorry for that. Like, this was honestly the best option. We wanted this like nice crystal clear like whiskey cabinet behind with a couple of drinks for the after dark. But you know, it is what it is. And thank you for dropping by. It's always appreciated. On to the next subject. What else have we got to talk about? Modern, now it's kind of settled post bans. A lot of people in the community are pretty mad. You know, scams back. Ban. Amulets too strong. Ban. Cascade shouldn't be legal. Ban. Where have you kind of wound up? You've been playing some funky shit in an FNM. You've been mixing it up like.
Why are you calling me out like this?
Oh yeah.
I wasn't prepared to talk about Grixis Wizards, but sure. And what Esper Reanimator?
Was it post ban or pre ban when you just turned up to an RCQ with Ponza?
Fuck off.
yeah, that was pre ban.
That was
right?
pre-ban. Yeah, I still was reaping the rewards of Fury in that. Top 8'd, just to clarify.
Yeah, it was a hell of a meta call. It was a good meta call at the time.
Everyone was 4-colour this, 4-colour that. Coffers as well. Oh god, I love the Blood Moon in a Coffers. Yeah, no, it was. It was a good day. I enjoyed that. But I am Mr. Spice, right? I play wherever the wind takes me, right? I'll go.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah, I'll keep that joke for the
editable version.
yeah. It's so funny actually. Peek behind the curtain. We spoke about this before we went live. Like, full disclosure, we have never edited an episode of Templar Talks ever. But then the fear of like going live and just like, even small things of like saying an address or like. You know what I mean? They really hit. They do really hit. And I hope...
So if you do want James Gurney's number...
it is just, you're always like double taking yourself of like, that's not where like a local reference or something, too local. Oh, is that...
And we doxed ourselves.
Can you see something in the reflection? Like, it's always stuff like that. It's pretty funny to think about.
GDPR.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, no, I think, the first RCQ, I think we spoke about this maybe on the last podcast, but the first RCQ we went back after the ban, Elves top 8'd. So I think that says a lot. If you actually look at statistics, Elves is not rising up the ranks, it's middling. But it is there, and as a lover of the deck, I think Merfolk has climbed significantly. I think it's now a fringe top tier deck. Like, it's probably.
I also am a huge Goblins fan, ready to play some Goblins.
Well, Goblins as well at RCQ as well.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the whole thing for me is that the ban hasn't like we spoke about before. The ban hasn't destroyed Scam. It's made it a bit worse. And the ban hasn't made goblins, merfolk, and humans and elves tier 0.
I forgot about humans. That's
but it's made them like fringe playable. It has actually made them fringe playable. And no, you're not gonna go to. Well, maybe you could go to an RC and win with them. I mean, merfolk has been taking down some serious events at the moment. So I think people that didn't play the creature-based decks against Fury don't understand how much of a relief it has been to see it out of the format. And I understand the hate for Grief, but I think the problem is if you get rid of Grief, one, Living End is no longer a viable deck, I don't think. But two, the bigger thing is that really some decks are just too bullshit to not have Grief in the format. Like Rhinos, can you imagine how much Rhino, or like even Amulet, right? Amulet with a safe 7 key, like turn 2 win?
Yeah, I mean, don't overwrite that, Forces exists. I do think, but yeah, I get what you're saying. It does check those really busted combo decks. Storm even.
Storm has actually come up a bit.
Has come up a bit. Breach has dropped off, but very realistically could come out of the gates and do some damage. So
I think, and I think what I know it's an oversimplification, but you're still in the situation of someone keeping a 7 and a 7, and the Scam player going first and doing the Grief, pitch, reanimate. You are in a situation where you are a player with 3 cards in their hand and a player with 5 cards in their hand about to draw. So there are so many answers
And the clock's gone, right? I do think taking the clock away has meant that Scam. I had some games today, right? Playing Scam. Not that it's a deck I want to play, but I'm doing my bit for the team. And playing Scam to run them through a bit of a gauntlet, and it just felt like I was ahead, but they were catching up, and I was like, I'm not going to win this, actually. Like, I've ripped their hand apart, I've got them to 5 life, but I can't finish it out, and I can't squeeze that last bit of damage through because I don't have the Fury to kind of clear the way a bit.
Yeah, and even for the very rare occasions it happens, if you've like managed to get a gemstone into play as a Rhinos player, and they look at your hand and you've got a force negation, a blue card, and like a dead gone, and you're just like, yeah, would you like to reanimate that spell, please? But yeah, I know it does suck. Lewandowski, I laughed at the fact that right after the man everyone dropped Scam and it won on the first big event. I do think this is like looking on the bright side of life, like really looking for positives in a negative situation, because it was funny, but it was also like, oh wow, we thought we'd fix this. If you looked at a lot of the matchups it had, it was very, very favoured on that day. Only one Scam deck made it to day 2. There were a few more than that. And the Scam deck that did make it to day 2, I believe their entire top 8, or like, they played Living End at least 4 or 5 times, and this is a deck that mains Darthy Voidwalker and sides in like 4 Leyline of the Void, so...
But also like, I think what Scam's become was a Fury deck with an insane, a Fury combo deck with an insane backup plan, to now being that Dalfi Grief discard, like hand attack deck. Yeah. And I think Dalfi for me is such a stellar card. And if
Dalfi's sick.
Yeah.
In our testing, when I've already said it, I'm probably going to be playing Rhinos. When I've played into Scam, the worst thing is just like that, discard your footfalls, cast footfalls, and you're like, oh, yeah, you can do that, can't you? And it's, you're just, oh, shit. Like, and it's the same thing with the One Ring, right? Like, there's so many cards that Darthy plus Fortsies or Darthy plus Grief, like, can hit. It's brutal. It really is brutal. And if you get 2 Darthys in play, it's such a problem.
Yeah. But even not when you sack it and whatever 1 mana reanimate spell.
It's
what's that? Oh yeah, I'll have a Titan reanimate my Dalfi.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's really good.
But I like the fact that is a play pattern. Like, the hand attack stuff, like people are funny in Commander for whatever reason about Mill. Well, people are funny in general about Mill, but specifically in Commander players like really have a meltdown when you see Bruvac opposite and you're like, hang on, Mill, how many cards? But it's just a different way of winning the game. And I think that's it. Everyone has their different flavours of Magic, and I've never been a control player. I don't like playing into control decks, but I appreciate everyone has their jam, and some people like hand disruption, and some people like mill, and some people like aggro. Like,
I quite like. I'd like to see a bit of Dredge poking its head again. I love Dredge. I love those decks that are like, I do this thing, and then after board, I try and do this thing, but it's harder.
See, like, Dredge, I think, was pretty well placed that first event when Scam won. Because that was like the deck that Living End poked its head up massively, no one was really worrying about, like, they were like, we'll see a bit of Living End, but it was like suddenly number 1. All the Scam decks had gone, so there was no Darthy, so Dredge could have just like, hey, I'll take this one down. I don't know, actually, you know what? I am so curious, I'm going to look it up. If Dredge played that event. What event was it? It was LMS, LMS Legacy 2023. Legacy European Tour events.
Yeah, but decks like that, Mill, Dredge, any, like, Cascades used to be glimpse of what happened to glimpse decks. Someone's saying Bologna.
Bologna. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Grand Open Qualifier, I believe.
Modern top 8. Yeah, that one. It would be, yeah.
So...
Oh, Plomsky saying Barcelona, so maybe not.
I'm pretty sure it was Bologna. Maybe it was Barcelona. Oh, are we just gonna forever get trolled here? Like, at least, another European city.
Ghent? Was it Ghent?
No, it was Barcelona. It was Barcelona. It shows the quality of our podcast, and then you throw in a couple of glasses of whiskey and start at a late time, and it all just gets
do you want to hit me
shit.
up with that small batch stuff right now?
Do you? Yeah, sure.
Just a half.
Just a half a glass.
No.
A little. Do you want to finish your glass? You got some
That's
water.
just a bit of water.
Yeah, you don't want to taint it.
Just a splash, just for flavour. Whoa there, lassie.
I'm actually going to the English whiskey distillery for a tour tomorrow, so I'm very much looking forward to that. This is indeed the deck.
Check that one quiet. Thanks for the invite. Oh, Jesus, tastes like an ashtray.
Yeah, that's my kind of whiskey. Yeah, so this is the list. So, did any heroes play Dredge? That is the question. No. Hang on, no. Surely that's wrong. Surely someone played Dredge. Oh, okay, cool. So you can't search deck lists. So if we...
So you're looking through 29 pages.
Well,
can we take a break?
After this advert.
We've lost the viewer.
Oh, dear. Oh, man.
Simon George 7 NR2 just doxed himself. Have been dead since they got rid of that interviewer chap. I wondered if he'd rear his head.
I think he that ship sailed a long time ago, unfortunately. The interviewer was too controversial for the live show.
I don't call him the interviewer. I call him the bow tie.
The bow tie. Okay, so there was a Dredge player that went 6-3.
Can we tweet him?
No, sadly not.
Can we get him interviewed?
What did they lose to though? How do you see the matchups? It's here, right? Yeah, so their matchups, they lost to 5-color Omnath, Golgari Yawgmoth, sure, and Amulet Titan. I'm surprised they lost to Amulet Titan.
I mean, Bog, was it mainboard Bog? Did they have mainboard Bog? Was it the Amulet Titan with Khan?
No Bog.
I guess the One Ring is pretty good against Dredge, right?
True, very true. I mean, let's be completely clear here. Dredge is trash, but I think it could have done some things there.
I mean, it's a fun. But that's modern is the format that I go to play to be like, oh wow, I haven't seen that in a while, right? When you sit down me personally, obviously, if you're paying $300 for a team testing, you don't want that, but I quite enjoy being beaten by a rogue deck, other percentage, yeah.
Yeah, no. I do think it's always...
Yeah, hit me with that, what's that, jubilant dude who, is that Tyvar?
Tyvar looks pretty jubilant.
Is the Planeswalker that
Yeah, I mean, I remember facing a few rogue decks at Axiom events, and it's depressing to lose to Scapeshift in the first round, as impressive as it is as well. When you get them to one, and then it's just like, do you have a counter spell?
Yeah, where you counter land drops, you're like, what's that? Growth Spiral, Explore. You're still playing them? No, really? Can't you, Judge? Can we just count that again?
Simon in chat has asked how Lorcana's doing. I haven't played Lorcana in a while.
Oh, I play it every day.
Do you?
On
on the PC
Pixelborn,
app.
yeah. I rate a bit of Lorcana, yeah.
I think for me is I haven't parked Lorcana completely. I do want to pick it back up when the comp events
Is that the same time you're going to pick up EDH and Flesh and Blood?
Flesh and Blood, the problem with Flesh and Blood is there is such a huge drive for it outside of the UK, and I think the UK is maybe a little bit behind. I you know what I might do is just go to one of the next big event for Flesh and Blood just to see.
I mean, I would enjoy that, considering that you encouraged me to spend £500+ on it, and now I don't play it with anybody.
To be, you know, just for record, I encouraged you to buy a Blitz deck. Nothing after that.
You know the kind of person I am, Stephen.
I do. Play a good game like Vampire: The Eternal Struggle. I don't have any interest in playing a game from 1993 that has the player base of, I don't know, your local bowls club maybe is like their entire European player base. So yeah, I think as much as it might be a cool game, it's definitely, its ship has sailed, unfortunately. No matter how much Richard Garfield likes it. But anyway, we'll move on to our final topic of the night. We're going to wrap up a little earlier today, purely because usually this will be online. Todd will be sat in his underpants at home. I'll be sat in my underpants at home. Obviously, we'll have t-shirts on, so you won't know that. But we'll be at home in the comfort of our chairs. Unless
you want to see a bit of chest hair, I'm happy to get a bit of this mane out.
Just a touch.
Yeah, it's quite an impressive beast.
Maybe that could be the thing for Templar After Dark, is we just wear dressing gowns.
Yeah, or just slowly shed clothing over the stream, start in a dressing gown and then slowly strip it back.
I just love the way as well, like every recorded episode we've ever done, it never goes down this kind of a rabbit hole, but the first time you put a live camera on.
I'm fully gonna blame the second whiskey and the addition of the interviewer in the chat.
Yeah, quite possibly. But yeah, like we'll typically, you know, get home from F&M, you know, have a good hour or so chat, but because there's no travel time to go home, it's a lot easier than filming in person. But for our final topic, we do want to talk about Standard. I know we dunk on Standard a lot, and I even took the piss a bit at the start, but I'm very excited about the Standard RCQ season, genuinely, because it does seem, after all this time, that maybe Standard is starting to get a play base. I still think it has a bit of a way to go, the 3-year format. I don't like it. I don't like logging onto Arena for the first time in 2 years and playing the same fucking deck.
In contrast, I don't like logging onto Arena
at all. Yeah.
That's one mobile game I haven't spent a lot of money on.
To briefly touch on it, and this is a very far-fetched rabbit hole, and we may get some shade for this. I may get some shade for saying this. You know, I'm not speaking on behalf of Todd or anyone else associated with the Templar. However, I was talking to Alex at Athena the other day about how miserable Standard is because of the 3-year rotation, and I suddenly had the whole thought of, well, Pioneer Challenger decks didn't sell very well. Pioneer RCQs didn't sell very well. Pioneer major events had record low attendances. Maybe it's COVID, we don't know. Maybe that's why they're doing a 3-year format. Maybe they're going to phase Pioneer out. Because, I mean, how far does Pioneer really go back beyond those 3 years at the moment? So maybe Pioneer might. I think, honestly, I am waiting with bated breath to see if after this Standard format, they announce that the next, you know, season is Pioneer. Because I think if they announce the next season is Modern, that is like nail in the coffin kind of situation for Pioneer. Something drastic needs to happen to Pioneer, because it really is not a great format.
No, it is the rock, paper, scissors format, right? And with some pretty big players that are just miserable to play against. However, we have seen some Pioneer bans, and it hasn't had the time or the focus to shake out. So I would hesitate to say that they're gonna nail Coffin.
I think from a WotC perspective of, like, you know, big evil business, right? We're talking about big evil corporation. Not you know, evil is what it is.
I mean, yeah, my stocks and shares are in tobacco and war, so.
It is unfortunately the way of the capitalistic society we live in that these corporations do want to make money. Like it's the name of the game.
Yeah,
why they do it.
Not money, profit.
Profit specifically.
Yeah.
So if they've looked at their numbers and they've seen on Arena, they've just launched Timeless. Timeless is doing very well. People like Timeless.
I haven't heard of this. Please fill me in.
I don't actually know.
It's popular.
I haven't played it, so from my understanding, I think it has fetch lands.
Okay.
I think it has the One Ring.
Wow.
Maybe.
Okay. So it's modern.
It's from what I understand, it's either powered up Pioneer or powered down Modern. It's somewhere in between that.
Okay.
It's in that sandwich.
Sure.
It has alchemy cards. Okay. I'm ignorant again. I don't look these things up. However, Timeless has had very positive response on Twitter. It's had a lot of events going. Oh, it's powered up Modern. Okay, sure.
Whoa. Legacy Light. Those are words that get me excited.
So maybe if you're the evil executives at WotC, and not that they are, and you see that this format that's more powerful than Modern, less powerful than Legacy, is raking in some good profit margins on Arena. Maybe after seeing that Pioneer hasn't necessarily sold as well, for the Challenger decks, for the RCQ's event attendance, maybe you start looking at it as maybe people want something a bit quicker. Maybe they keep powering Pioneer up and we get it to Modern, pre-Horizons Modern, or we power up Modern and get that more to Legacy Light. So it's going to be an interesting one. And now you've said that, Lewandowski, that it's Legacy Light, I realised that I know there was discourse because I think Brainstorm's in the format and it's a rare. So people were like super tilted about crafting Brainstorm as a rare.
That card. It's interesting that you say, about kind of the play patterns. And certainly I find that Magic that interests me, games of Magic that I enjoy, are that nickel and dime. It's that swingy turn-by-turn play. And what I don't like about Pioneer is you either get completely run down by your opponent or you are running your opponent down.
Yeah.
And at no point do I feel like, oh, we're nickel and diamond, I've got a chance, oh, this turn something's going to change. It's like, no, they've had that champion of whatever the fuck's in play, and it's now an 8/8, and it's only getting bigger, and I have one answer in my deck, and I'm not going to draw it. Oh, fuck, I've lost, great. And I think it went from mono black, like aggro, was like the first Pioneer deck that I had, and it was nickel and dime, and you felt like you were kind of trading resources, and then you either got over the line just at the end or they stonewalled you. And then when I came back to play it during the RCQ season last year, it was like, mono greens calmed into whatever fucking massive, what's the thing that makes you pay 2 more?
I know, I know what you mean. And
what the fuck is going on?
Even Lotus Field as well, right? Like, there's so many crazy just win decks. Like I remember, I hadn't played much Pioneer. I didn't test before RCQs. I just went because it was a comp event, and I was like, if I qualify, I qualify, and then I'll learn the format properly. And when I first played against the Convoke deck, I was like, what? You just did what on turn 2? It is crazy how the spot is in. But going back to Standard,
and just to clarify, our approach to Standard and our kind of gut vibe with Standard is going in the direction of I am excited.
Yeah.
It is a bit of nickel and dime, and there's a buzz around it, and new players are turning up to events, and the RCQ season's a little bit cheaper entry, and there's a few more of them, and they're kind of at good times. I think it's going to be a good season, and certainly I'm gonna buy a Standard deck.
I think that's it. Like I've really enjoyed, and I know it's boring strategy, but I've really enjoyed mono red in this format because it's primarily creature based, and I like that about it. Like having an aggro creature deck is different to what you're used to in Modern of go face, go face, go face, go face. You know, like almost the creatures don't matter. I mean, before Scan was banned, you were taking Eidolons out, right? So you had 8 creatures in your 60 card deck, and you are just burning face. So I do think the format is, the power level's gone up a lot. Like there's a lot more back and forth. The one deck that I think is bad for Standard, and it's because of the 3-year rotation, is the Domain deck. And the reason I think that's bad isn't because it's too strong. It's purely because of its play pattern of do nothing, do nothing, do nothing, control the board, do nothing, control the board, uncounterable Atraxa, do I win? I don't like that. I don't like stalling out just to throw a bomb down and say, well, am I?
And that is a product of that 3-year format and that longer kind of release of cards, and where the sins of 2019 are still the sins of, or 2020 are still the sins of today, right?
Yeah, the triumphs specifically are the problem.
And that's what happened with Jeskai Black or Abzan Blue or whatever the horrific last term of that block cycle was, where you were just like, oh, can you stop putting... What? No, don't put your Siege Rhino in your blue... Can you not do that? oh, you can fetch all your colours, can you? I hate my life.
It's an interesting approach because, like, I think James actually in a Steam room we were having a conversation about Magic, and
no privilege here.
Yeah, he summed it up quite well, because a lot of the time in Magic, the strongest decks have been 2-color. Like, there's always been a lot of strong 2-color decks.
Blue-black control, Ugin the Spirit Dragon.
Well, he's played far longer than I have, right? So he's had a bigger window, as have you, than I have. But historically, in a lot of those decks, they ran a lot of basics, because, you know, you had the 4 shock lands, or you had the 4 fast lands, or whatever it was in Standard.
Check lands, yeah.
Check lands, sure. But at the moment in Standard, like, as an example, Azoria Soldiers that I've just put together, I think it runs 3 basics, and it's every card pretty much comes in untapped, and you're just like, is it really good for players to have such an easy choice of mana base? Because that's the thing, like, you know, a lot of the time, even when I've played 2-color decks, you have to make that choice of like, oh shit, I've run out of mana. Like, even when I'm playing like Rhinos, like, if you Blood Moon at the wrong time, you're just like, oh shit, I can't cast my spells here, because now I only have blue and red. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's funny that they've just made it so easy to just go fucking all in on these bullshit strategies and play no basics, play loads of lands that give you everything, especially when there's cards like Leyline Binding with Domain. Like, it's too easy. If the Triumphs went there, or I know they're not Triumphs, whatever they're, what are they called? Spara's headquarters. The Triumphs that aren't Triumphs.
Oh, yeah.
If they weren't in the format, it'd be a lot harder to get those, you know, turn 3, turn 2, Leyline Bindings off.
Play my red spell turn, or play my red-white spell turn 2, and then my green-blue something spell on 3, It's those combinations of really powerful cards that are just a bit
much. I think it's a shame, because they're like, as well, the Convoke strategy in Pioneer that I mentioned, like, I played against that deck is now basically in Standard, because the rotation's taken so long that the cards required to do it are all still there, and it definitely does drag a little bit, but still looking forward to it, in the, as I have constantly maintained as much as I've done on Standard, it's an important format.
And what are we doing as a team to bring Standard to the people, Stephen? Are we casting, streaming any of these upcoming Standard events?
I thought you were just throwing shade on the fact that none of us are really doing anything with Standard. In terms of testing wise.
We tried. Someone was playing Standard this evening.
There was a very
mono red mirror.
No, it wasn't a mono. No, don't be silly. They were playing mono red 1 deck.
Oh, right, okay, sorry.
But yeah, no, we do have some cool events. We'll actually wrap up here because it's bedtime.
And we you know, if we can't possibly ever charge anybody to join our testing team, if we reveal strategies such as the standard mono red 1 day testing.
Indeed, we're all very transparent here at Team Templar.
I didn't manage to derail it into EDH though, sadly.
We did get some solid testing, a little bit.
Yeah.
But we do have some cool stuff coming up. I don't know, so you know, we like to support our local game stores. We have 3. There may be more, but there's 3 stores we like very much in the area. Athena Games in Norwich, Skyward Fire Games in Lowestoft, and Langdon Games in Ipswich, kind of listed in closest to furthest away from where I have to travel.
Right now,
you know. Not where we are right now. Where are we right now?
Wyndham. Dereham, Thetford.
Yeah, the 3 game stores we like very, very much, and they're all running RCQs this season. There's going to be 2 at Skyward Fire and Lowestoft, 1 at Langdon, 1 at Athena. I think that's the order they're even being, run as well. We are going to be casting 2 of them, but I don't know which 2. So we're going to be casting 100%. We're going to be casting the Athena one, which is on the last Sunday in March, maybe.
I'm just checking.
I think it's the 24th of March. I want to say it's the 24th of March. Todd actually has a Magic the Gathering calendar, so he's far more organised than I am. But he is searching by week rather than month. So.
24th, Sunday the 24th of March.
So Sunday the 24th of March is Athena. Then we have Skyward on the Sunday the 10th of March. Langdon on Saturday the 9th of March. And then the first one, we've gone in reverse order. I don't know why.
You've gone in reverse order.
I'm very sorry. The first one is Skyward on the 18th of February.
Coming up real soon.
Indeed. So we are going to be casting 2 of them. We're going to be casting the Athena one for sure on the 24th, and then we're going to be casting 1 of the 2 Skyward ones. And hopefully, fingers crossed, saying it on camera to put more pressure on him, our good friend Raoul is going to be able to join us again. So someone that actually knows how to play Magic at a Pro Tour level.
And knows what the cards do and how they interact with each other.
Yeah, I love to. I think Raoul gets a little embarrassed by it, but I do like to sing his plaudits because he is he has a hell of a Magic knowledge. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be casting those. We'll be attending all of them. If you're in the area, please come. You know, say hi.
If you want your Crashing Gurney token signed by the man himself, that is doable.
I think a service we should start providing is when James signs them, he tells you what's wrong with your deck.
What was it? I don't play subtlety.
Yeah. It was there's so many I don't want to throw him too far under the bus, but there's so many funny. Every event we go to has,
so he won't be watching anyway. He'll be playing League of Legends.
There's so many funny Gurney stories from throughout the years of like we'll meet people at events and be like, 5 years ago he told me he didn't like my deck and then walked off. And luckily James is definitely on the path.
Can we not tell the story where someone asked him, what do you think I can do to improve my deck? No, he's a valued member of the team.
He is. James is definitely on the path to vindication. He's reformed from his old ways, but my God, the stories are funny.
In steam rooms and saunas is where these conversations happen. They
do indeed. But as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for putting up with our rambling. We will be back again with more rambling next month. We're going to be back with another podcast. I think we're filming it in like a week and a half, and it's going to go live just before we go to Ghent. And also, as well as RCQs, we have a very exciting video coming towards the end of the month regarding team news and plans for the upcoming year. Really quick before we go as well, Lewandowski, did we have a chance to play Baldur's Gate 3? I have not. I don't particularly play single player games. I don't know if you have.
No, I like to shoot the shit on Discord playing like 10-year-old games.
Yeah, I think that is the thing. We play a lot of old games that are just multiplayer. Like,
Yeah.
it's very much a social thing. Like, everything is just, you know, when you're hanging out with the guys. But thank you very much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll see you next month, and yeah, have a fantastic rest of your evening.
Goodbye.
Oh God, how do we stop? How do we stop?
You're in charge of the stream.
I know. There must be an end screen, right?
Goodbye. Press the button, damn it!
Take care, guys. Have a good one.